Okay. Okay, if you have any parenting questions, feel free to ask right now. This is my slowest live. This is the one where I can answer almost all the questions. The other two, Instagram and TikTok, I don't get anywhere near all the questions. So yeah, if you have any questions, ask away and I'll do my best. So why am I on here at this time of the morning on a Sunday morning? I'll tell you why in a minute. Here, it's 8:30 for me. Anyway, I've been up since 5 a.m. trying to answer all the emails I get. It's just so intense. Anyway, yeah, that's why I don't usually answer comments or messages on any of my platforms, because the emails are just overwhelming. So doing my best here. Anyway, I'll get to them all today for sure, all my emails. And I'm very careful. I go through, and if I'm coaching someone, I flag those ones so they get answered. But don't send me your parenting questions. If it's just general parenting questions, don't email me those. I won't answer them on email. This is where I answer parenting questions, is on my lives. But yeah, so I've been 3.5 hours trying to answer all my emails. Sunday morning, I got up at 5 just to answer emails. So anyway, I'm about a third of the way through. I'll get to them. I'm a grandparent. I forgot how to deal with 2.5-year-old tantrums. What's the first thing I need to start doing? Well, you can check out my tantrum course. It goes into great detail. Basically, you ignore tantrums, but there's a very specific way of doing it. You do ignore the tantrum, but you don't go on your phone. You don't get into a conversation with someone. It's important that you look like you're waiting for a bus. You're just standing there filing your nails or something, like you're waiting for that tantrum to end. They won't get it right away, but eventually they'll get that, oh, wait a minute. They're not going to reward this crazy with any attention whatsoever. You ignore the crazy. As soon as they stop with the tantrum, oh, you all done? You want to read a book? Or do you want to go to the park? Or let's get going, or whatever. You do not discuss a tantrum before, during, or after. They're going to get worse before they get better, because they're usually used to getting attention during a tantrum. That is fertilizing it. It will grow in duration, intensity, and frequency. Do it my way. You ignore the crazy, reward the calm. It starts to decrease in duration, frequency, and intensity. They eventually learn. Anyway, I've worked with hundreds of kids. I haven't found a kid this doesn't work with yet. Hundreds of them. So, and plus, I'm sure it's been thousands by now with all the advice I hand out and all my clients and that. It just works, but it's hard at first. A lot of parents say, oh, it got worse. I always say, yeah, it's going to get worse before it gets better. Of course it is. You're shaking things up, right? You're transitioning into a leader. And they don't like that. They like it long-term. They love a leader. But initially, they're going to fight for that leadership for them to have it. It's just a natural instinct. Okay, so parenting questions. I tend to be a little bit on the whiny side with certain things. So I'm just going to whine for a little bit here. I got up at 5 a.m. on Sunday morning to try and get through all my emails. They just got so backed up. I get so many of them. Don't send me email. Don't send me parenting questions on email. This is where I answer them. Most of them aren't. They're usually about coaching and that, but and business stuff. But yeah, so that's why I'm a little bit loopy. And that's why I came on here. I need a break. I can't look at another email until I get a break. And this is my break. I find this relaxing. Okay, this is Crystal. I have a 3.5-year-old that is outright defiant with everything. We have had her for 2 years. Oh, okay. Why have you had... She has very little contact with her parents. She ignores us completely. Help. 3.5 years. You've had her since she was 1.5. A little bit could be cemented. A little bit of trauma in there could be cemented for sure by 1.5 years. What I mean is, that transition might have been helped. Yeah, set yourself up as a leader. You might want to check out my boot camp course. That explains how you lead, and they will follow. So yeah, she's probably been through some stuff. They do have some memory, because they're forming, right, when things are shaken up like that. So it's like the ground's been pulled out from under her if she's gone into a different home. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's just, it does tend to throw them off. Even more important for you to exercise your leadership. Leaders bring out the best in kids. You play with them. You lead with fun, not with discipline. You discipline the bad behavior, but then you focus on the good kid, always. Discipline is quick, very quick. And then you focus on the good kid. In my hall, I live in an apartment downtown. It sounds like someone's dragging a dead body down the hall. I want to go look at the peephole, but I'm kind of scared to. I have to. Just a sec. Oh, it's kind of creepy. Anyway, okay. What was I saying? Okay, parenting questions. This is my slowest live, so ask away. I get to pretty much all the questions on Facebook. I don't get to anywhere near half the questions on Instagram and TikTok. So this is a really good place to be for lives. Okay. I'm the grandparent. I really don't talk to grandparents. What I mean by that is if I give grandparents advice and the parents don't like it, it puts me in an awkward position because I only teach parenting. I'm a grandmother. But yeah, I only teach parenting. Does that make sense? So I always pull back. I say, no, I can't. I don't give grandparenting advice. I just don't. Yeah, I can't because I'm a parenting coach. Okay, I have a 3-year-old and a 14-month-old. I am really seeing my son regressing and is not verbally communicating just a sec, as much. So I'm trying to hit the see more button. As much as he was. He has just become very whiny lately. I encourage him to use his words. Yeah, I don't talk like that. But he is really mimicking my daughter lately. God, do I want to say what I want to say? Does anyone, a regular, know what I'm thinking? To use your words? I won't say it here. But yeah, I can't stand that saying. Anyway, 14-month-old. Okay, what's happening is the 3-year-old is rebelling because the 14-month-old they feel is getting more attention, even though they aren't. They don't like any attention going to the other kid when they're adjusting to having a younger sibling. So what I would do is to encourage siblings getting along and discourage all the whininess and everything is you play with them together. Don't do one-on-one time with each kid. You're going to have to do some of that, but basically try and play more with them together. Get them all involved in stuff together so that it tends to encourage that love between them. And then you'll see the whining will go away and they'll actually start to feel like friendship with the younger one. I got a million different answers for that. That's just the one I threw out. That's not the most common one I give for that question, but I just want to throw that one out there. Got it. Thanks. What did I say? Oh, grandparent. Yeah, sorry about that. You can understand. Huge portion of my clients are teachers, principals, and child psychologists. And I say I don't teach teaching or child psychology or any of that stuff. So you know what they do? They've told me this later. They've hired me on the side. If they've got a really difficult client or student, they'll hire me on the side. The school often pays for it. And then they'll pretend it's their kid. Sneaky, sly. Yeah, they own it after we're finished working together. That's happened many times. It's quite funny. But things are different. That's why, parenting is a specialty in its own. It's personal. I couldn't child psychology or teach or principal. I couldn't do any of those jobs. They're institution-based. They're business. This parenting is personal. It's a specialty. It's very much a niche within its own. So a lot of stuff does not cross over. One really good example of what works beautifully in schools, but at home it's a disaster, is the reward chart. A reward chart in school with 30 kids, it's not personal. It's just if they do well, if they behave, whatever, they get a gold star, whatever. They earn something. But at home, it's personal. So when you put up a reward chart for good behavior, you know the message you're sending to your child is this. You're normally rotten, but if you should happen to be good, you'll get a gold star. See the message? A behavior board says, you're normally wonderful, but if you should happen to do something bad, I know how to deal with it. You're on there too, by the way. You're on that behavior board too. Check out the link above. You can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or you can hire me for coaching. That behavior board is completely free. I invented that 16 years ago, put the parents on it, changed everything in how I coach. I couldn't figure out how to teach, because I never used a behavior board. I couldn't figure out how to teach parents the importance of being accountable. And then I invented this behavior board, which I've never used. That's why I didn't think of it in the first year I was coaching. And then I put the parents on it too, changed everything. Leaders are accountable. Dictators, the old-fashioned authority style parents are not. My way or the highway, you listen to me, different rules for me than you. A leader is, yeah, I'm accountable too. My kids had a voice. Believe me, if I messed up, boy, they were all over that. Mom, didn't you just mess up? Oh, darn it, didn't know you noticed. So, what do you want? 3-year-old pulls hair at nursery, can't stop this. Okay, they're 3 years old, put down on the behavior board, no pulling hair. When they come home, you find out from the daycare worker, whoever, say, did they pull hair? Yes, they did. There's a consequence. I would make them, that one is one, it's a really good one to have the punishment fit the crime. So have them give one of their favorite toys to the kid's hair that they pulled for a whole week. Talk to the parents about it. So something like that the other kid gets their favorite toy for a whole week. Put it on the behavior board first so they understand going in what's going to happen. Then that's their choice. You know, I never took responsibility for any of that consequences. I always said to my kids, well, I never used a behavior board, but I always said, if you're good, life is good. If you're bad, life ain't so good. I'll make sure of it because I'm your mom and that's my job. So they learn it's their choice. I didn't want to give that toy to the other kids. Kind of a pain for me to do, but you chose to pull their hair and you know that's what's going to happen. So it's your choice. Are they going to have a fit? You bet. You want that. Behind every fit, scene, or a tantrum is a lesson. You want the fits. You want the scenes. You want the tantrums. Embrace it. That everyone wants the rainbow, but you got to go through the storm to get there because you're transitioning. You weren't a leader yesterday. Now you're a leader. That's a transition. That's a big transition for you and for your child. Check out my boot camp course. That might be for you. That's the age of 3 to 12. The kids are very different, but that's when you're at the height of your leadership power. They desperately are looking for a leader, like a mentor, someone to guide them, someone to look up to. Not so much with teenagers, and toddlers are just nuts anyway. So 3 to 12 years old, that's when you're at the height of your leadership. That's why the boot camp course it's all designed around you. I mean, I go into a whole bunch of stuff with kids, obviously, because you're parenting, right? But it's all about you and your power, your leadership power. And by the way, parents tend to overpraise and underplay these days. That's the old pleaser parent. You're wonderful, you're special. And then, can you play with me, Mom? No, I don't have time, but you're special. They don't give a crap that you just praise them. They don't care. You know what they want? If they're playing and you say, oh, what are you doing there? Can I play too? That's their love language. Parents tend to overpraise and underplay. You play in their world. Watch them play and join in. That's your power. Leadership's all about connecting. Discipline's a tiny part of it, but those are just the questions that I get all the time. The power in leadership is the connection, the playing, the bonding. It's fun with children and it's humor with teenagers. Or fun too, but basically it sort of transitions. Teenagers don't really want to go to the park and roll down the hill with you, but a 2-year-old would love that. So some teenagers might, I don't know. He has speech delay. Did you ask a question? 3-year-old pulls hair at nursery. How can I? Speech delay is not cognitive delay, so I don't quite understand that. What does speech have to do with that? Yeah, a lot of parents equate speech delays with behavior. I've never seen a correlation. Yeah, and we'll go on about that. That's comes up a lot in coaching. They have speech delay, so they can't understand this. Do they have cognitive delay? No, but they have speech delay. So some kids don't talk till they're 3, or I even knew a kid who didn't talk or walk till they were 3, and then they got up and ran and never shut up. They just very laid back, weren't in any hurry. So speech delay to me doesn't make any difference in how I deal with kids. Cognitive delays, yes. My 8-year-old bonus son is week on week off. He's addicted to video games. Whenever he gets attitude and 13. Okay, check out my boot camp course. That's all I can say to you. It sort of explains. One of them is media management. One of the modules in there is media management, screen time. It goes into a whole bunch of stuff. But yeah, you said he rude, he gets attitude. You're not a leader. Work on your leadership skills. He'll respect you. They're never rude. They never cop an attitude with a leader. I remember my son was 15 and he said to me, he says, I could never rebel. And he was kind of almost mad when he said it, like he was upset. And he says, no, what he said to me, you've been a difficult mom. And I said, what? I thought it was great. And he says, I could never rebel. You're too reasonable and easy to talk to. I guess he saw all his friends rebelling against their parents and he felt left out. But I was too reasonable and easy to talk to. That's a leader. He was 15 at the time. I think he was 15. And yeah, you want to get this leadership cemented so you can sail right through the teen years like I did. By the way, a lot shifts and changes in the teen years. That course, 3 to 12, ends at 12. 13, you want to start transitioning into parenting teenagers. It's different. I'm going to read my top 3 tips for parenting teenagers because you'll all be there one day. So it's something to think about. Number one, you listen to understand and show empathy. You don't listen to gather information to lecture with, or they will tune you out. If they want your advice, they'll ask for it. By the way, they already know it. Number two is you negotiate pretty much everything, or as much as you can. It goes something like this. Hey, I want your dirty clothes in the hamper from now on. What do you want from me? You got to give and take, give respect to get it. And number three, don't sweat the small stuff with teenagers. Save your energy for the big stuff if you even need it. If you're a really good leader, you won't even need it. But if you're going to try and micromanage a teenager, good luck with that. You don't want to be micromanaged. Neither do they. Okay? If they make a mistake and it's not a big deal, if they do something wrong, not a big deal, I would say this. I'd say, well, that was stupid. Do you want to hear what I did when I was your age? And laugh it off with them. Be relatable. Show them it's okay to make mistakes. We all did. We all do. That's life's messy. Okay. Teenagers are my favorite age. I say that all the time, and a lot of people don't understand that or don't believe it. But people who've worked with teenagers, they get it. When you get good when you understand teenagers and how to deal with them and how to talk to them and how to show them respect, they usually are your favorite age because they're more interesting. They're older. They're interesting, right? Because they're developed. Hi, Lisa. This is I am. Oh, hi, I am. Today's my last day of work. Then I'm going, I know you're expecting, was it March? I got it written down. It's in my calendar, March something. I know that. I am as a regular from TikTok, pretty much for a year or two now, I guess, on my lives. And she's expecting her first child in March. So welcome to Facebook. She's not overdue. My granddaughter was overdue. And I won't go into it, but yeah, it was a bit of a woohoo. It was all kind of crazy at the last minute. But yeah, so it's often babies. The first baby's often overdue. I guess because that canal hasn't been opened up before. It's like, ooh, how does this go? I don't know how it all works. But my son, I lived in Australia, and I was my mom was coming over from Canada to visit when my baby was due. So I said, well, have your flight arrive on his due date, because babies are never born on their due date. Sure enough, he was born on his due date. So it's like 5% happens too. So did not expect that. Okay, my 6-year-old foster niece. Okay, foster niece. So you're fostering your niece. Does any bad little thing she can think of. Has had trauma from drug-addicted parents. Been in my home for 1.5 years. She has cut my daughter's hair, writes on walls, bites chunko. Okay, that's coaching. Yeah, I deal with stuff like that in coaching. That she's traumatized. She's going to do everything bad just to prove she is bad. That's why she's doing it. I'm rotten, aren't I? I'm rotten. You see, I'm going to prove to you how rotten I am. That's why she's doing it. She's not doing it to upset you. She's proving to herself, but she's validating that she's a piece of garbage. That's why she's doing it. Okay. If you want to hire me, that would be 5 sessions. Let me know, though. You can't hire me directly anymore because I don't always have time. I'm getting super busy these days. I've been up since 5 this morning trying to answer emails. That's like 4 hours trying to answer emails. I got through about 1/3 of them. I'll get them through all of them today. But yeah, don't ever send me just general parenting questions on email. I won't answer them. I can't. Yeah, this is where I answer all the parenting questions. But if you're obviously my coaching clients, that's different. But yeah. Yeah, check out my coaching. That she's in. That's red zone stuff. So yeah, you want to. Boy, she's only, and she's getting violent and everything. She's 6. Oh, she's still really young. There's still a lot you can do with that age. I never give up. Like there's always hope because I work with troubled teens. So you can imagine, 6 years old, she's still really little. There's a lot I would do with her. Like recommend you do with her. It's tough, but remember, she's not doing it to hurt you or hurt anyone else. She's doing it to validate that she's a piece of garbage. Does that make sense? That's why I understand, kids. That's why she's doing it. I could be off on that because I haven't assessed her or you. I mean, I don't talk to kids anymore, but I haven't assessed the situation. But that, from what you've told me, she's doing it to validate how poorly she thinks about herself. She wants you to prove, yeah, she's right. She is garbage. See, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. See, I am garbage. Does that make sense? It does when you understand it. It just does. Yeah, it's sort of testing. It's not even testing at that point. She's gone past that. Yeah, self-esteem's in the toilet. That would be my focus. Poor kid. Okay, I'm going to disagree with you on this. But because of his speech delay, he doesn't understand. And after being told off, he will still, well, why are you telling him off for the first thing? He will still, yeah. delay is not a cognitive delay. He can still understand. He just can't verbalize it. But you can usually watch kids and figure out what they're thinking anyway. So yeah, the speech delay is not, from my perspective, is not what's causing that at all. By the way, kids don't feel this. I'm going to get in trouble for this one, but I'm going to throw it at, me, I don't care anyway. Uh, Kids don't care if they're understood. They only care that they get their own way, what they want. They only care that their needs are met. So the lack of being able to communicate, if he's still getting everything he wants, he doesn't give a hoot if anyone understands him. Does that make sense? If everything's going their way, do they really care if anyone understands them? No. Children with speech delay are often misunderstood. From my perspective, from my experience, I'm experience-based. I've got no training. I've just worked with hundreds of kids. Yeah. And speech delay. I don't know why that's so trendy right now. It's super trendy to take, oh, my kid has speech delay, speech delay. Well, he's not forming sentences and he's 1.5 or something. Like, it's just, I don't know what's going on. I don't know why that is. Don't know. Interesting with the speech delay. I'm guilty of thinking she doesn't understand. How do you start leadership parenting with kids before the age of 2? Well, you said she's older. Oh, that's someone else. Okay. How do you start leadership parenting? You don't really. I'm just going to read my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. You're just waiting till they turn 3. That's okay. I know how to be a leader with a toddler. I don't teach it. Why don't I teach it? It's body language, tone of voice, and a lot of silly. I know how to play with toddlers. I know how to get their attention. I've worked with big groups of toddlers. I've managed to handle them all in a group. I understand toddlers, but it is a skill. I know that sounds arrogant, but it just is. It's not something I can really teach. I'll say this, they're not listening to you, they're watching you. The more you can be silly, the more that I'll show you one of the things I do with toddlers. It's so stupid. I usually just do this kind of stuff in coaching, but so dumb. How you get a toddler's attention and get them pulled in so they want to please you is you do stuff like this. I'll show you. So stupid. Is you just turn up and do something like this. I guarantee you start doing silly stuff like that, they're going to look at you differently. Watch how they look at you. They are engaged like that. And then you've got them where you want them. You're in total control of a toddler. But you got to enter in their world. Their world. A silly gets attention with toddlers. It's everything. But I don't teach that. I don't want you shoving pencil things up your nose. Like I've got a whole bunch of tricks up my sleeve. But yeah. My top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. This is just my general advice. In coaching, I teach all this stuff, but you got to be really open-minded and you got to find your inner silly. If you can't find your inner toddler, you're not going to be a leader for toddlers. Not the way I teach it anyway. Okay, this is my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers under the age of 3, that is. Number 1, child-proof your home so you never have to say no. Number 2, set up a toy rotation system so they're never bored. Number 3, this is the one I'm talking about, is you enter their world to connect with them. You don't connect with them on your level, like at the nail salon. You go to the park and roll down the hill with them. They just look at you differently. They're listening. You've got their attention. Number 4 is stop with the mini therapy sessions, discussing all their big feelings, big emotions. Never say the statement, use your words. I hate that patronizing saying. You know what you're saying? Find your inner adult. Be more like me. They are using their communication skills. Their communication is usually hitting, running, screaming. They are communicating in their world. You enter their world. Stop expecting them to enter yours. It's just ridiculous. Okay. It just gets on my nerves because I know people are teaching that. I don't know why. Anyway, number 5 is stop trying to figure them out. They're not figure-outable. They're brand new, fresh human beings. They're crazy because they haven't developed sanity yet. They're not even there yet. They're cute as a button, but they're all feet, no brains. Imagine if you've only been in the world for 2 years and for one of those years you were a potato laying on a mattress. Like, where would you be, right? Okay. So that's my tips for parenting toddlers. What have I got going on here? Oh, sugar. Anyway, I got to move over to Instagram now. If you want to join me over there, it's Bratbusters Parenting. And in the meantime, you can check out my link. You can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or you can hire me for coaching. Coaching is done differently now. I'm just really busy these days. So you have to email me and tell me why you want to hire me, and then I'll decide whether or not I can take you on. So anyway, thanks so much for joining me. And I'm still on YouTube the whole time, but I'm moving over to Instagram now. Thank you. Happy parenting. Why did I get that notice? Just a second, just got a notification. Where am I due? I don't do appointments. Why did I get a notification? I just got a notification I'm supposed to be somewhere in 30 minutes. I've got nothing on my calendar. How is that possible? Okay, I'm just setting up on Instagram. And what happened? Hello, Instagram. I'm just waiting people turn up really fast on Instagram. They all turn up in a big clump. Nowhere else does that happen. Don't know why. Okay, 10 seconds in. Yeah, it's funny how that happened. Yeah, they all turn up in a big clump. Hi, Instagram. Anyway, it's Sunday morning. I'm never on at this time, but I needed a break. I got up at 5 to get through my emails. So many emails. Do not send me general parenting questions via email. I won't answer them on there. I don't have time. So yeah, if you're working with me or you want to work with me or anyway, then you can email me. But otherwise, I don't have time to answer those. So yeah, I spent 3.5 hours answering emails, and then I needed a break. So I've got about maybe 2/3 more to go. I'll get through them today. So if you do send me an email, I scan through them all. And if it's something like if you're working with me coaching, I get those emails right away. I look at those right away. The rest of them, I can't. It's just getting really busy. And I'll never have anyone else doing my emails for me because it's personal. How could I have someone else answer my emails? I don't even know how to do that. How would I do that? I'd like to, but I can't. Yeah, because it's private too. I'm very protective. How are you this morning? Great. I've been up. I've had tons of caffeine. I've been up since 5 answering emails. So I am wide awake. This is my break. I'm taking a break. I haven't even gone to the gym yet. I do the gym first thing in the morning before I do anything, but I knew I had so many emails to get to. I couldn't even go to the gym. So yeah, I'll be going to the gym after this live, I think. I just love you. Oh, thanks so much. I really appreciate your support. Sometimes I'll finish a live and I'll go, God, I'm harsh, but I just say what I'm thinking. I'm not here to be liked. I'm here to get you results. I'm here to help you enjoy parenting as much as I did. That's all. That's it. That's it. I want you to have fun parenting. You can't have fun with disrespectful kids. So I teach you how to give respect to get it. That's what leadership's all about. You give respect to get it. You don't demand it. You command it. Your kids will look up to you. You'll make them feel good about themselves. They'll want to please you. That's how this works. Okay. What to do if your 2-year-old throws their food and drink? That's an easy one. I'm assuming they're sitting in a high chair because there's no way a 2-year-old would be doing anything else but that with me. They're sitting in a high chair in the kitchen table. They don't have food or drink around the house. I never allowed that. That just turns it into a toy, a wandering toy that they can throw and play with. So yeah, I never allowed that. You want food or drink, you have to sit in the high chair and I'll give it to you. Anyway, if they throw stuff, this is what I do. Watch how I do it too. It's very... So I'm just sitting there and they throw something. I go, no. I pick it up, throw it in the sink or the garbage, and then I take their plate away from them. Then I hand feed them. I would not let them touch food for the rest of that sitting. No way. They're 2. They can understand this. So I hand feed them. They're going to kick and scream and not eat a thing. Fine by me. Okay, you're all done. I put it aside, clean them up, put them down. Let them have a fit. Let them process the fact that you just took charge and you're not putting up with that food throwing. Let them process that. Everyone wants to how do I avoid the tantrum? Why would you want to? So you don't want to be a leader then? You're afraid of them? You're afraid of the scene, the fit, the tantrum? They're in charge, guaranteed. Guaranteed. To me, that's like, I welcome it. That's you transitioning into my leadership. So yeah, hand feed them. Then the next time, maybe a half hour later, you can try again. Sit them up in the high chair, give them the food, maybe a little bit less to throw. They can't throw a whole plate, which they might do now because they're mad, right? So give them just one thing in front of them or something. And then if they throw that, say no, and then hand feed them again. Calm. Notice how calm I am? Don't go, no, I told you last time that. you look like a fool to them. You look like a yeah, they're not listening to you. They're looking at you like you're a fool. So yeah, just say, okay, here you go, and hand feed. Hand feed. Now, part two of this is a lot of parents will say to me, yeah, that's fine, but they love being hand fed. I'm like, okay, this is what I do. So they like being hand fed, and you don't want to hand feed them because they're old enough to feed themselves. Get real stupid and slow with it. Pick up the food. Oops, I dropped it. Oh, well, make sure it's something they like. So pick up the food and then go like this and then go, oh, did I forget to get the laundry out of that thing? So look like you're just stupid and slow. And they'll eventually go give it to me and they'll feed themselves. That's the idea. It's not always that easy. But yeah. The problem with most parents is they're afraid of the scene. I embrace it. That is where the transitions happen. Those are where the lessons are. The scene. Every time I say no to a child, something, if they want something ridiculous, I say, no, you can't have that. They have a fit, a scene, or a tantrum. I'm like, that's gold. That's them learning I'm in charge. They can have fit, scene, or tantrum. Remember that? I talk about this all the time. That 8-year-old that was a really challenging kid. And he'd never met me before, but I was asked to work with him. So I sat down with him and he said to me, if you don't give me what I want, I'm going to have a fit. And I said to him, bring it on. Just like that, deadpan face. And he went like that. And he never did. He thought, she knows what she's doing. So he never did. Actually, when I was working with kids, the more difficult, snotty the kid was, the quicker they were for me to get respect. You know why? Because when they come up against a calm leader, they almost go like this. Ah, finally. Because they're desperate for it. All children need, crave, and want a leader. It's just a natural instinct. And every single teenager I've ever worked with has said, I wish my parents had been tougher on me growing up. They don't want it now, but they identify discipline, leadership is love, and they missed out on it. They don't want it now. Let me clarify. Teenagers are different. Okay. They're my favorite age, by the way. They're different though. You parent them differently. A lot of parents, the reason why they find teenagers so difficult is they're trying to micromanage and over control their teenager. Also, they're not good at listening to them. You got to listen. Yeah. This is interesting. This is someone who came over from Facebook. 2-year-old is impulsive for food. How to redirect? Are there corrective actions or just keep food out of sight? You'd have to hire me for that one. I don't know what you mean by that. And you wouldn't believe how often this comes up. Children who are obsessed with food. And parents think it's a behavioral issue. I think it's something deeper, unless it can be directly correlated with something that's happened. Like maybe they were starving in a previous home or something. Yeah. But otherwise, I think there's something underlying. I would first have if they truly were obsessed with food, I would take them to a doctor, have whatever they do. I don't know. I know what I'd ask for, but I can't tell you that because I'm not a medical person, right? But yeah, I'd go to the doctor and just say that to them. Say they seem to be obsessed with food. Can we find, maybe there's some medical reason for that. I would have to figure that out first. But then, yeah. But you'd be amazed how often that comes up. I mean, I loved food when I was a kid, but I wouldn't say I was obsessed with it. Like what I mean is being obsessed with food is something else going on there. I'd have to assess what it is. Anyway, don't hire me first. Go see a pediatrician or a doctor first. Rule out what medical, maybe it could be something like that. And then you could hire me to deal with that. But yeah, I need to rule that out first. And that would probably just be 3 sessions, not 5. I'm going to be getting rid of the 3-session package soon. I'm getting super busy, and 5 sessions always gets the best results. So I'm getting kind of selfish. I got rid of the 1-session package because I didn't feel satisfied with that. I thought, I only had you for 1 session. I can't even follow up. It didn't bring me any joy doing that. I found it frustrating. So now I've just got the 3 and the 5-session packages, but the 3, it's good. You can learn a lot in 3 sessions, but the 5 is just that much better. That's why my boot camp course is over 5 weeks. 5 is just the first 3. The first 3 weeks are behavior boards. After that, you go on to other stuff, which is all the stuff I did as a mother. I never used a behavior board. So yeah, I'm going to get rid of the 3 sessions soon. I don't know when, maybe today. I don't know. Anyway, I'm trying to manage my time. I've been up since 5 answering emails. I got up Sunday morning at 5 a.m. to answer emails. I've got so many. That's why I'm a little bit punchy today. Okay. How do you handle siblings who won't get along? The biggest mistake parents make with siblings who don't get along is you do one-on-one time with each child. Builds resentment and hate between the kids. It just does. Even if it's fair, they don't care. Okay, you're building hate and resentment between them. So what you do, and it's fine to do one-on-one time with them when everything's great, but when you're trying to build up their relationship, you only do things with them as a group, and you play to the weakest link. You don't do competitive games. You just do silly stuff. Look up silly games to play or silly activities to do with the age that your youngest one is, and then you just play together. They will bond over laughing at you. Like, it's usually silly 3-year-old game or activities. You're going to be lousy at it, and the kids will have a blast laughing at mom or dad. Okay, that's how my kids bonded, was laughing at me, and I was quite happy with that because they were 5 years apart, a boy and a girl, so they didn't have a lot in common, but laughing at mom was a big one. Kids could just be growing or having a growth spurt, just a guess. I do have kids that want to replace meals with snacks because, yeah, but the way they talked about it, impulsive, it's obviously an ongoing issue. Growth spurts don't last that long. They might be a day or a week. But yeah, the way they worded that, I don't think that they would have said that if it was just a quick little thing. But some kids do have food obsessions. So it can grow. So it's something I'd want to look into. Potty training tips, please. I can't give you really any tips here because it's a whole system. I do have a potty training course. It's for 2.5-year-olds. You can do a little bit sooner or later. But if they've never been potty trained, you can do this at 5 years old. Okay. So, but if they're partially trained and just not pooping on the toilet, that's a whole section in there, by the way. Like why kids will pee, but they won't poop on the toilet. Super common. There's 3 reasons for that. Anyway, the course goes into all that. But yeah, check out the mini toddler course. That is all about potty training. It's a system. It's a party. Toddler gets lots of attention and playtime, but won't play alone. That's because you haven't taught them how to play alone. You get them started, then you walk away like, oh, I got to do the laundry. I'll be right back. So you're lying. You're not planning on going back. But you just get them started. Oh, I forgot. I got to get the laundry out of the dryer. I'll be right back. And then just take a really long time and see how they go. So you get them started. Also, do a toy rotation system because oftentimes children are overstimulated by too many toys out at any given time. So I only had like 5 toys out at any given time, and I rotated them. So my kids always had something new to look at. Now, what's interesting is when something's been put away for 6 months and you pull it out, they're 6 months older, they play with it differently. So even though it's the same toy, they play with it differently. Not always, if it's something, they can only play with one way. But you get the idea, get a toy rotation system. They're less likely to be bored. They're more likely to do independent play. How do you introduce a newborn to a 2-year-old? You don't. Like, there's no easy way around that. It's a huge transition and a change, and they're probably going to hate that baby initially. You can't prepare them for it. It's impossible. Could anyone really prepare you for what parenting was like? Imagine a 2-year-old transitioning into having to share mom and dad. It's like that. How can you really prepare them for it? It's impossible. I've never seen it done, not effectively. Some of them just are transition easily, but no matter what you do, they were going to anyway. You can prepare and set up their own little baby station with their doll net. They'll still go in and kick the baby. I mean, it's just because that doll is not crying and taking mommy and daddy away. So you can't prepare them. It's one of those things. They'll learn eventually. Okay, I got to run because I've got to go over to TikTok now. Anyway, check out my link above. You can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or you can hire me for coaching. Coaching is all changed now because I'm just super busy. And I've only got 3 and 5 session packages, but you have to email me first, and I'll decide whether or not we can work together. Anyway, so yeah. I was going to say something else about that. Can't remember. Couldn't have been important because I can't remember. Anyway, I got to get going, and I'm moving over to TikTok now, and I'm on YouTube the whole time. So happy parenting. Oops. As soon as you turn on TikTok now, it starts to run an ad. That's new. It didn't used to do that. Okay. Okay, I'm just waiting for people to turn up on TikTok. No one's here on YouTube. That's fine. Actually, YouTube is my smallest platform, then Facebook. Hello. Hello, you're my last stop here before I go off and try to answer some more emails. Um, Mima, what is that? Mima, what does that mean? Is that grandma? Mima. I've heard that term before. Southern for grandma? Is that what that is? Mima. I'm gonna look that up. I have to know now. Mima. Yeah, it is. Oh, it's grandmother. Yeah, Mima. I quite like that because I'm a grandmother now, but my granddaughter's only like a month old. So I'm going to let her decide what to call me. I don't really care. One thing I don't want is I don't want to be it's my son's child. I don't want the other grandmother and I to have the same name. It's too confusing. So if she's Nana, I'm going to be grandma. If she's grandma, I'll be, you know what I mean? Like it's just easier that way. That's the only thing that I care about. Okay. My son started hitting. Oh, you have to tell me the age. Is he 16, 6, 2? You have to tell me the age or I can't answer. I've been up Sunday morning. It's 2. Okay. My son started hitting and throwing things at me and everyone he walks by. What do I do? So I'm starting to lose my voice. Just a sec. I don't know why he's doing it. Is he mad or just to get attention? There's a difference. Yeah, I don't know why he's doing it. Is he angry or is he just doing it for fun? Different answer. So you can let me know. He's just doing it. Okay, well, every time he throws something, I would pick it up and put it away. I'd say no and pick it up and put it away. He'll eventually learn because you're going to start taking, even if okay, what's he throwing? I wonder. Like, I don't know. I'm overthinking it. I should just keep my answer quick and simple. Yeah, whatever he throws, you say no and you put it away. Pauline, oh, he's throwing bottles. He's throwing bottles. Does he really care about bottles? And toys. Okay, toys. So you start putting toys away. But do a toy rotation system. So there's only like 5 toys out at any given time. Check it out. I've got lots of videos on that on here. Just look up Bratbusters toy rotation and get that going. So he only has 5 toys out. So he's throwing 5 toys. They're all gone now. He'll eventually learn. Leave them up there for maybe an hour, half the day, whatever. But yeah, he'll eventually learn. He hits me. Okay, you might want to check out my course, Toddlers Who Hit, Bite, Etc. It's toddlers who have aggressive or violent habits. Okay. Anyway, it's in the link above. Check out my behavior board up there too. My big boot camp course. I have 4 toddler courses. All my courses now have videos throughout. Also coaching. I've completely changed my coaching in that you can't hire me direct me on my website anymore because I'm just too busy. So you have to send me an email and say why you want to work with me. Yeah. So then I might just lead you somewhere else, like to the boot camp course or just the behavior board. How do you know a child has ADHD? I don't know. I'm not a doctor. You have to go to a doctor for that. Do you have any tips for sensory-seeking kids with special ed needs? That's coaching, one-on-one coaching. I have to assess the situation before I can give any responsible advice. Yeah. Daughter starts crying when waking up. Should I just ignore it? And could it be a tantrum? Well, my son was like that. He was like Jekyll and Hyde. Like I never knew when he woke up if he was going to be happy or crying. So yeah, just leave it. I would sit near him and read a book and he would often just sort of calm down that way. So don't talk to them about it. Are you okay? They get worse and worse. So yeah, I would just sit and start reading one of his books and next thing, or I'd just leave him alone. Sometimes he just needed some time. I would put on usually a video or something that he really liked, anything to sort of just let him calm down. And then he was fine. So yeah. They're going to do it or they're not. It's no big deal. How do you handle gifted kids? My 3-year-old is advanced and gets bored a lot. Okay, my son was labeled gifted, which I always saw as a bit of a handicap because I like kids to fit in. And keeping him not segregated was a challenge. And yeah, so I understand that. It just means that they're really good at certain things. But anyway, yeah, he was never bored, ever. I did a toy rotation system. Also, we had a lot of activities going on. I was a very involved mom. I played with them a lot. So he was never bored. And I think gifted child, my 3-year-old is advanced and gets bored a lot. I disagree with that. If you want to hire me, I'll tell you why, and we'll get to work. But yeah, don't misinterpret. Oh, I don't want to go on about it, but yeah. It's funny. I'll tell you a funny story. It's a bit of an amalgam with the different clients, but it's happened a lot. People will hire me and they'll tell me that their child's gifted. Well, I've got a gifted child. I know what it's like, but I work really hard to mainstream them. And I never treated them any different. I didn't want anyone to treat them special because of it. Like, I think that's stupid. Everyone's got a special gift, right? So anyway, families will hire me and the first session, oh, he's very gifted, he's very intelligent. And I'm like, okay, but he's hitting everyone and kicking you. Oh, because he's bored. I'm like, uh-huh. Anyway, the funny thing is, we'll get started and we'll get the behavior board up and running. Then the next week, well, I had to keep, it didn't work because he didn't understand it. He was gifted last week. Now all of a sudden he's a moron. Like, you can't have it both ways. You wouldn't believe how often that's happened. They're making excuses for his behavior all the time because he's gifted. I would never have done that. Yeah. Like my son, when he was 5 and he was at a friend's house, he comes home and he'd never spoken to me like this ever. And he said to me in a snotty tone, "I'm bored," like that. He would have heard that at his friend's house and the friend would have got candy or something, I don't know. Anyway, and as soon as he said it in that snotty tone of voice, which I'd never heard, I went like this. And he went, "No, never mind. I'm not bored," because he knew I love this stuff. So I said, "Oh, is my precious angel bored?" And he went, "No, I'm not. No, never mind. I'm not bored. No, never mind." And he tried to go off and play with Lego or something. And I said, "Come with me. I hate the fact that you're bored. That hurts my heart." And he's like, he knows he's in for it. I took him in the laundry room, filled up a bucket and gave him a mop. He was never bored again. Anyway, the funny thing is, years later, my daughter did the exact same thing. She comes home and says, "I'm bored." And the exact same thing happened. My son was cracking up because he already knew what was happening. Anyway, yeah, how do you know if you have a gifted child? Other people tell you. Other people told me all the time. So I already knew. But I never treated them any different. And gifted is, I hate that word. They're just really good at figuring things out or something. Yeah, it doesn't mean they're any better than any other kid. I remember once I was talking to this mom and she was bragging about her gifted child, and she was standing there and he was gnawing on her leg when she was talking about him. He was like 4 or 5. He wasn't 1. And I thought, yeah, he's gifted, all right. Oh, and I'll tell you another funny story. My son was the preschool or kindy or whatever it was. He was about 3 or 4. They said, "We think we should have him assessed because he is different." And I said, "I know, but I want him mainstreamed. I never wanted him singled out." So anyway, we did have they brought like a team of people in and they had him assessed. He was offered all these scholarships right through high school. He was like 3. And they said, "He's off the charts, gifted in that." And I said, and then they said, "So when do you want to meet with us?" And I said, "No, thanks. I turned down the scholarship at this special school." And they said they've never had that happen before, but I don't like that stuff, right? Anyway, so I took him to the mall. And this was that mall story I often tell was his second to last tantrum. I took him to the mall that day and he had a tantrum and I looked at him and I thought, yeah, you're gifted, all right. Like it's nothing to brag about. Nothing. I always told my kids, never take pride in being smart or good looking. You're born with that. You can't take any pride in that. Don't be proud of that. Be proud of how you treat people, how you act, what you do. That's where your pride should be attached to. Not your naturally given talents that you have. You can't take any credit for that. And some of the most annoying, difficult kids that I've ever worked with and high maintenance parents, the child was gifted. I think that word's overused. I'm not saying your child isn't, but I'm saying I have a whole history of this. And I work really hard to keep my kid mainstreamed. No, being smart does not come with hard work. You can educate yourself and learn a lot, but your brain, the way it functions, I think you can tweak it a little bit, but hard work is what I take more pride in anyway. I'll tell you a funny story. I was in high school and the team from university came in. They were assessing students who were the school deemed as smart, right? I was one of them. Anyway, so they were assessing us. So this story doesn't make me look good, by the way. That's where I'm going with this. So anyway, they assessed us all, and it was a 3-hour test. And they asked us everything. It was just bizarre, and it wasn't a knowledge test. IQ is knowledge. Like if you don't know history, you don't know it. It does nothing to do with your intelligence. Anyways, it was all problem solving and just theorizing and stuff like that. 3 hours of it. I finished it in 20 minutes. And completely, and I did really well on it. Anyway, later, so then they assessed us all and they told us individually. So they came up to me and they said, "We've never seen anyone finish it so fast." And I said, "Oh, does that mean I'm really smart?" And they said, "No, it just means you're fast." So for the rest of my life, I've been telling people I'm really fast, but I'm stupid. So yeah, smart to me. I've met so many smart people that are a pain in the butt. Doesn't mean much to me. I like being around fun people. And nice people. Does that also include not moving kids up grade? A first grader takes second grade math, English. I can't talk about that because, yeah, I can't talk about that. It's a personal choice. I'm going to put it that way. You've got to deem what's best for your child, not what accelerates them. Is that what's best for your child, accelerating them? Are they also ahead emotionally, socially? Are they going to fit in with the older grade? It's a huge part of it. Huge. People tend to want to accelerate their kids because it's brag worthy. Yeah. Newborn reflex advice. My daughter ended up in emergency with, she had a grand mal seizure due to reflex. I thought she was dead. She turned gray and was completely limp, and she choked on a bile. She had a reflex. She was 5 weeks old. So I have a lot of experience with that. Go to the doctor, if it's that bad. I can't tell you what was done with her because everything changes. That was like 29 years ago. But yeah, it was probably the most frightening moment of my whole life. Holding what I thought was a dead baby while the sirens were approaching. Yeah, it was horrific. I'm not religious, but how you talk to God, because he'll do anything when you're desperate. I said, because I thought she died. And I said, just take me with her. I didn't want her going anywhere alone. So I said, take me with her. And then when the ambulance turned up and saw she was gray, they looked at each other like that. And I thought, oh my God, but she came back. And she was still there. Ugh. So yeah, go to a doctor, get them assessed. That is very rare that happens, by the way. Well, my 18-month-old will shove an entire piece of bread in his mouth and won't take individual bites. How can I fix it? Give him individual bites. One bite at a time. Yeah, that's an easy one. Wish all questions were that easy. Okay. This is a really common question. How to treat 17-month-old toddlers, well, not necessarily a 17-month, but toddlers in daycare who hit kids all the time. You cannot discipline a toddler from afar. They're right in the moment, consistent corrective actions. That's up to the daycare worker. Also, at home, don't allow that behavior at home. But you can't stop it at daycare if you're not there. It has to be right in the moment. You have to be present with them to stop it. Check out my toddlers who hit, bite, etc., so you can manage it at home. Chances are they don't always do it at home because they're always getting their own way. They don't have to share, right? But all of a sudden they go to daycare and they have to share stuff. That's when it often comes out. But that's up to the daycare workers to deal with it. Sometimes they have to kick kids out because they can't handle them. They're like next level. They can't have the other kids going home with bite marks and bruises. So it's for their own, they just can't handle it. So I've had clients who it's been that bad. And then they complain to me that the daycare worker can't handle their kid. Well, that's an unreal expectation. If they have 20, 30 kids and they've got one who's a little terror biting and attacking other kids, that's not something they can always handle. So, nor should they have to, if it's that next level. Oh, kids are biting. Yeah, I don't teach daycare workers. I don't teach daycaring, teaching, child psychology, principaling. A lot of those people are my clients, but I only teach parenting. Because I don't know how daycare is run. I know what I do, but I can't I can't offer that advice. It's not my lane. I stay in my lane. My lane is parenting. That's it. Very. I have a lot of opinions on everything else. I've spent years and years and years in daycare centers, in hospitals, in facilities, schools. So I have a lot of opinions on what teachers and daycare workers could be doing, but it's not my lane. I only teach when I'm really confident with, and that is parenting. That's my lane. I get it. I'm very confident with it. But yeah, the other stuff, no, it's just my opinion, basically. Yeah, I don't share my opinion. I only share my knowledge, my experience-based knowledge. My 2-year-old's behind on talking. Doctor says it's not a problem, but I'm worried. Well, you've given me free rein here to say I wouldn't worry about it because your doctor already has. Behind in talking, what are you going by? Who's telling you that? Some kids don't talk till they're 3. So what are you going by? Just all your friends' kids happen to be talking and yours is just slower at talking? I know someone who didn't walk or talk till she was 3. Then she got up, ran, never shut up. So she just was laid back in no rush. So yeah, if the pediatrician already said it's okay, I can tell you that. I wouldn't worry about it at all. Both my kids were really early talkers because I never shut up. And yeah, they were both really, especially my son, because it's a one-on-one and you got one kid. And he was the older one. So yeah, he was talking really early. But it's almost a bad thing. Like, are they ever going to shut up? But why? But what, when they ask questions about stuff, why is the sun so hot? But why? I don't understand. He always wanted to know the reason behind everything. So I don't know. I don't know. Finally, I learned. I said, I'll look it up and I'll tell you later. As he was getting older, that's what I started using. And then he said, you're not going to look it up, are you? I said, no. I have no problem looking stupid with my kids. I want to be a leader, but I never tried to look smart or anything with my kids. Okay, I got to get going. I got to go back to my emails because I got up at 5 a.m. this morning, Sunday morning, to answer emails. That's how many I've got. I haven't got near half. I haven't got halfway through. So anyway, do not send me your parenting questions on email. They'll just be deleted. Unless we're working together. Yeah, I can't do that. This is where I answer all the parenting questions that just come in cold, from non-clients. But yeah, anyway, so I got to get back to that. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. Check out the link above. You can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course. You can hire me for coaching. Coaching's changed now. I'm very busy. I've only got the 3 and the 5 session packages, and I'm going to get rid of the 3 one really soon. The 5 one is always more satisfying to me because I can get you where I want you to go, usually in 5 sessions. 3, yeah, I can try. If I only think you need 3, I'll give you a refund. Give it, you know what I mean? But I'd rather you sign up for 5 so I can pace you out. Sometimes parents just are really quick, or they have their problems aren't as big as they think they are. So I've given out refunds and said, you know what? You don't need 5 sessions. You only need 3. So, but anyway, yeah, coaching has just gotten really busy, and I need to be able to serve my clients the way I want to. And if I get too busy, I can't. Anyway, so thanks so much for joining me, and happy parenting. Bye now.